Mariana Trench, Mariana's Trench, the lowest and deepest point of our planet, has been fraught with many mysteries for many centuries, not subject to complete research even by the most modern scientific equipment. Legends and bold theories about the origin of all life on Earth have repeatedly been based on the realities of this unique geographical object, where the monstrous pressure of water, it would seem, does not in any way dispose to the comfortable existence of living organisms, but, nevertheless, they are there. The Mariana Trench is located in the western part of the Pacific Ocean, not far from the Mariana Islands, just 200 kilometers away, thanks to the neighborhood with which it received its name. It is a huge marine reserve with the status of a U.S. national monument, therefore it is under state protection. Fishing and mining are strictly prohibited here, but you can swim and admire the beauty. In shape, the Mariana Trench resembles a grandiose crescent 2,550 kilometers long and 69 kilometers wide. The deepest point 10,994 meters below sea level is called the Challenger Abyss. The British began to explore the Mariana Trench. In 1872, the Challenger sailing corvette with scientists and the most advanced equipment of those times entered the waters of the Pacific Ocean. After taking measurements, the maximum depth was set at 8,367 meters. The value, of course, is markedly different from the correct result. But that was enough to understand, the deepest point of the globe was discovered. So another riddle of nature was challenged, translated from English challenger challenging. Years passed, and in 1951 the British carried out work on mistakes. Namely, the Deep Sea Echo Sounder recorded a maximum depth of 10,863 meters. Then the baton was intercepted by Russian researchers who sent the Vityaz research vessel to the Mariana Trench area. In 1957, with the help of special equipment, they were not only able to fix the depth of the depression equal to 11,022 meters, but also establish the presence of life at a depth of more than 7 kilometers. Thereby making a small revolution in the scientific world of the mid-20th century, where there was a strong opinion that there are no such deeply living beings and there cannot be. That's where the fun begins. There are many stories about underwater monsters, huge octopuses, unprecedented bathyscaphes crushed into a cake by huge paws of animals. Where is the truth and where is the lie? Let's try to figure it out. The first daredevils who dared to dive to the bottom of the Earth were U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh and researcher Jacques Picard. They were immersed in the bathyscaphe Trieste, which was built in the Italian city of the same name. A very heavy structure with thick 13-centimeter walls was submerged to the bottom for 5 hours. Having reached the lowest point, the researchers stayed there for 12 minutes, after which the ascent was immediately started, which took about 3 hours. At the bottom, fish were found flat, similar to flounder, about 30 centimeters long. The research continued, and in 1995 the Japanese descended into the abyss. Another breakthrough was made in 2009 with the help of an automatic underwater vehicle near use. This miracle of technology not only took several photos at the deepest point of the Earth, but also took soil samples. In 1996, the newspaper New York Times published a shocking article about the immersion of equipment from the American scientific vessel Glomar Challenger into the Mariana Trench. The spherical apparatus for deep-sea travel was affectionately nicknamed Hedgehog by the team. Sometime after the start of the dive, the instruments recorded terrifying sounds resembling the grinding of metal on metal. The Hedgehog was immediately raised to the surface, and they were horrified. The huge steel structure was crumpled, and the strongest and thickest, 20 centimeters in diameter, the cable is as if filed. There were many explanations at once. Some said that these were the tricks of monsters inhabiting a natural object, others were inclined to the version of the presence of an alien mind, and others believed that there were mutated octopuses. However, there was no evidence, and all assumptions remained at the level of guesses and conjectures. The same mysterious case occurred with the German research team, which decided to launch the Hayfish apparatus into the waters of the abyss. But for some reason he stopped moving, and the cameras impartially gave out on the monitor screens an image of a shocking-sized lizard that was trying to crack a steel thing. The team did not get confused and scared away an unknown beast with an electric discharge from the device. He sailed away and did not appear again. It remains only to regret that for some reason those who came across such unique inhabitants of the Mariana Trench lacked equipment that would allow them to photograph them. At the end of the 90s of the last century, at the time of the discovery by the Americans of the monsters of the Mariana Trench, the overgrowth of this geographical object with legends began. Fishermen, poachers, told about the glow from its depths, lights running back and forth, various unidentified flying objects popping up from there. The crews of small ships reported that vessels in this area were being towed at great speed by a monster with incredible strength. Along with the many legends associated with the Mariana Trench, there are also incredible facts confirmed by irrefutable evidence. In 1918, Australian lobster fishermen told about a transparent white fish about 30 meters in length that they saw in the sea. According to the description, it looks like an ancient shark of the species Carcharodon megalodon, which lived in the seas 2 million years ago. Scientists from the surviving remains were able to recreate the appearance of a shark, a monstrous creature with a length of 25 meters, weighing 100 tons and an impressive 2-meter mouth with teeth of 10 centimeters each. Can you imagine such teeth? And they were recently found by oceanologists at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. The youngest of the discovered artifacts is only 11,000 years old. This finding makes it possible to be sure that not all megalodons died out 2 million years ago. Perhaps the waters of the Mariana Trench hide these incredible predators from human eyes? Research continues. The depths still harbor many unsolved mysteries. The water pressure at the lowest point of the Mariana Trench is 108.6 megapascals. That is, it exceeds the normal atmospheric pressure by 1,072 times. A vertebral animal simply cannot survive in such monstrous conditions. But, oddly enough, shellfish have taken root here. How their shells can withstand such enormous water pressure is unclear. The discovered mollusks are an incredible example of survival. They exist next to serpentine hydrothermal vents. Serpentine contains hydrogen and methane, which not only do not pose a threat to the population found here, but also contribute to the formation of living organisms in such a seemingly aggressive environment. But hydrothermal vents also emit a deadly gas for shellfish, hydrogen sulfide. But the cunning and life-hungry mollusks have learned to process hydrogen sulfide into protein, and continue, as they say, to live happily in the Mariana Trench. Another incredible mystery of the deep-sea object is the hydrothermal spring champagne, named after the famous French, and not only, alcoholic beverage. It's all about the bubbles that boil in the waters of the source. Of course, these are by no means bubbles of your favorite champagne. This is liquid carbon dioxide. Thus, the only underwater source of liquid carbon dioxide in the whole world is located in the Mariana Trench. Such sources are called white smokers. Their temperature is lower than the ambient temperature, and there are always vapors around them, similar to white smoke. Thanks to these sources, hypotheses were born about the origin of all life on Earth and water. Low temperature, abundance of chemicals, colossal energy, all this created excellent conditions for ancient representatives of flora and fauna. The temperature in the Mariana Trench is also very favorable, from 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. This was taken care of by the black smokers. Hydrothermal vents, which are the antipode of white smokers, contain a large amount of ore substances, and therefore they are dark in color. These springs are located here at a depth of about 2 kilometers and spew water with a temperature of about 450 degrees Celsius. I immediately remember the school physics course, from which we know that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So what's going on? Does the source spew boiling water? Fortunately, no. It's all about the colossal water pressure. It is 155 times higher than on the surface of the Earth, so H2O does not boil, but it warms up the waters of the Mariana Trench pretty much. The water of these hydrothermal vents is incredibly saturated with various minerals, which also contributes to the comfortable habitation of living creatures. How many more mysteries and incredible wonders does this incredible place conceal? Plenty. At a depth of 414 meters, the Daikoku volcano is located here, which served as another proof that life originated here, at the deepest point of the globe. In the crater of the volcano, under the water, there is a lake of the purest molten sulfur. In this boiler, sulfur boils at a temperature of 187 degrees Celsius. The only known analog of such a lake is located on the moon of Jupiter Io. There is nothing like it on Earth anymore. Only in space. It is no wonder that most hypotheses about the origin of life from water are connected with this mysterious deep-sea object in the vast Pacific Ocean. Let's remember a little about the school biology course. The simplest living creatures are amoebas. Tiny, unicellular, they can only be viewed through a microscope. They reach, as it is written in textbooks, a length of half a millimeter. Giant toxic amoebas 10 centimeters long have been found in the Mariana Trench. Can you imagine that? 10 centimeters. That is, this single-celled living being can be perfectly viewed with the naked eye. Isn't this a miracle? As a result of scientific research, it was found that amoebas acquired such gigantic sizes for their class of unicellular, adapting to the unsweetened life at the bottom of the sea. Cold water, coupled with its colossal pressure in the absence of sunlight, contributed to the growth of amoebas, which are called xenophyophores. The incredible abilities of xenophyophores are pretty surprising. They have adapted to the effects of most harmful substances: uranium, mercury, lead. And they live in this environment, just like shellfish. In general, the Mariana Trench is a miracle of miracles, where everything living and inanimate is perfectly combined, and the most harmful chemical elements that can kill any organism not only do not harm the living, but, on the contrary, contribute to survival. The local bottom has been studied in some detail and is not of particular interest. It is covered with a layer of viscous mucus. There is no sand there are only the remains of crushed shells and plankton that have been lying there for thousands of years, and due to water pressure have long since turned into thick grayish yellow mud. And the common measured life of the seabed is disturbed only by the researchers' bathyscaphes descending here from time to time. Everything secret and unknown has always attracted a person. And with each mystery solved, there were no fewer new mysteries on our planet. All this fully applies to the Mariana Trench. At the end of 2011, researchers discovered in it unique natural formations made of stone, shaped like bridges. Each of them stretched from one end to the other for as much as 69 kilometers. Scientists had no doubt, it was here that the Pacific and Philippine tectonic plates touch, and stone bridges, 4 in total, were formed at their junction. However, the very first of the bridges, Dudden Ridge, was opened in the late 80s of the last century. He impressed then with his size and height, which were the size of a small mountain. At its highest point, located just above the Challenger Abyss, this deep sea ridge reaches 2.5 kilometers. Why did nature need to build such bridges, and even in such a mysterious and inaccessible place for people? The purpose of these objects is still unclear. In 2012, James Cameron, the creator of the legendary film Titanic, made a dive into the Mariana Trench. The unique equipment and powerful cameras installed on his deep-sea challenge bathyscaphe made it possible to shoot the majestic and deserted bottom of the Earth. It is not known how long he would have been observing the local landscapes if there had not been some problems on the device. In order not to risk his life, the researcher was forced to rise to the surface. Together with the National Geographic, the talented director created the documentary The Challenge of the Abyss. In his story about the dive, he called the bottom of the depression the border of life. Emptiness, silence, and nothing, not the slightest movement or agitation of the water. No sunlight, no shellfish, no algae, much less sea monsters. But this is only at first glance. In the samples of the bottom soil that Cameron took, over 20,000 different microorganisms were found. A huge amount. How do they survive under such incredible water pressure? Still a mystery. A shrimp-like amphipod was also found among the inhabitants of the depression, producing a unique chemical that is being tested by scientists as a vaccine against Alzheimer's disease. During his stay at the deepest point of not only the world ocean, but also the entire Earth, James Cameron did not meet any terrible monsters, representatives of extinct animal species, or alien bases, not to mention some incredible miracles. The feeling that he was completely alone here plunged into a real shock. The ocean floor seemed deserted and, as the director himself said, lunar. Lonely. The feeling of complete isolation from all mankind was such that words could not convey. However, he still tried to do it in his documentary. Well, the fact that the Mariana Trench is silent and shocking with its desolation is probably not surprising. After all, she just sacredly keeps the secret of the origin of all life on Earth.